We've had over 100,000 job losses in the last 9 months in Canada.
Only 269 new homes were sold in the GTA last month, making it the worst January in the home building industry since 1980.
Only 269 new homes sold across the GTA last month. Let that number sit for a second. Not 2,690. Not a slow week. 269. That's the kind of figure you expect from a small town market, not the economic engine room of Canada's biggest region. And yet, this is where we are. The worst January for new home sales since 1981, with builders openly warning that construction activity is about to hit a wall and that the fallout could look like mass layoffs across Ontario. What makes this even harder to ignore is how badly this soft landing story clashes with what's happening on the ground.
81.
Construction comes to an end, the industry will be slowing down, and we're looking at the potential for about 100,000 layoffs across the province.
You keep hearing that things are cooling, adjusting, stabilizing, but the numbers aren't cooling. They're collapsing. Projects are being deferred, then canceled. The pipeline that keeps construction crews working and keeps suppliers moving product is drying up month after month. And while governments talk like it's a temporary mood swing, the economic damage keeps spreading outward into jobs, confidence, and household finances. Start with December 2025. Across the GTA, new home sales landed at 240 units. 240 for the entire month. That isn't just weak, it's a shock to the system. It sits about 82% below the 10-year average. Put plainly, roughly 4 out of 5 typical buyers didn't show up. And when demand falls off like that, you don't just wait it out. Developers can't build on vibes. They build on pre-sales, financing, and predictable absorption. When those disappear, the machine slows, then stops. Builders are already describing the chain reaction. Weak sales lead to deferred launches, then paused projects, then cancellations. That matters because construction doesn't respond instantly. What you see being built today often reflects sales momentum from 2, 3, even 4 years ago. So when today's sales numbers crater, the real hit to construction volume can show up later, when the current batch of projects finishes and there's nothing substantial behind it. Then January arrived and basically confirmed the nightmare. Only 269 new homes sold, the worst January since 1981. That's 36% lower than the year before and about 80% below the decade average. You'd have to go back more than 40 years for a January that looks this bleak. And that's why people in the industry are using words like end of the line instead of slow patch. When the market hits lows from a different era, it's not a normal cycle anymore. It's a breakdown in demand. February didn't rescue anything either. Sales hit only 359 units, down 48% year over year, and still about 82% under the 10-year average. That marks a long streak of record bad months, the kind of streak that changes behavior, because builders and lenders stop expecting a quick bounce. Once that mindset shifts, projects don't just get delayed. They get shelved. And shelved projects don't hire workers, don't order materials, don't pay subcontractors, don't keep apprentices moving through training. The condo market is where it looks even more extreme. In Q3 2025, new condo sales across the GTA hit 316 units, described as a 35-year low. And relative to what the market usually absorbs, it's almost unbelievable, down about 92% from the 10-year average. When 9 out of 10 buyers vanish, you aren't watching a gentle slowdown. You're watching a market freeze, and it wasn't just one bad month. For all of 2025, new condo sales were about 1,599 units, down around 60% from 2024 and roughly 91% below the normal average. That's not a market catching its breath. That's demand getting choked off so hard that the financing model breaks. Developers don't start projects because they hope. They start them because pre-sales prove there's a buyer pool and because banks will fund the build. No pre-sales means no financing. No financing means no groundbreaking. No groundbreaking means no crews at the same time. Inventory is piling up in a way that kills urgency. The GTA is sitting on roughly 7 months of condo supply, described as the highest level in about 20 years. There are around 15,000 condos and nearly 6,000 single-family homes listed and unsold, more than 21,000 units waiting for buyers who just aren't stepping in. That much choice changes the psychology. Buyers stop feeling chased. They stop rushing. They start negotiating hard, or they simply wait. And it's not only Toronto. Metro Vancouver reportedly has thousands of brand new condos sitting empty, around double the level from the prior year. Brand new buildings with clean lobbies and fresh paint, and still people won't touch them the way they used to. That tells you something important. This isn't just about one city or one type of building. It's about confidence. Because yes, prices have softened. Resale condo prices are down roughly 13% to 14% from the 2022 peak. New home prices have moderated by about 20% from the top. Under normal conditions, that kind of pullback plus lower interest rates should coax buyers back in. But it's not happening. That's the tell. Builders are saying they've hit a build cost floor. They can't discount indefinitely because costs don't magically disappear. Labor, materials, insurance, financing, land, municipal fees, and taxes all stack up. So even when buyers see incentives, they still hesitate. Which leads to the obvious question. If prices are off the peak and rates have come down, why is demand still stuck at historic lows? Here's the uncomfortable answer. People don't trust what's coming next. They don't trust job stability. They don't trust that inflation shocks are finished. They don't trust policy direction. They see talk of tariffs, layoffs, cost pressures, and mortgage resets. They're hearing that a big chunk of Canadian mortgages will reset in 2026 at higher payments than borrowers are used to. That's the kind of thing that makes households protect cash, delay big purchases, and avoid new debt. And when buyers lose confidence, housing doesn't just cool. It stalls. Asterisk asterisk if you're finding this breakdown useful and you want more straight-to-the-point updates on what's happening in Canada's housing market, jobs, and the real numbers behind the headlines, make sure you subscribe now. Asterisk asterisk you'll get more videos like this, and you won't have to rely on the everything is fine narrative when the data is screaming the opposite. Now zoom out and look at the policy side, because this is where the frustration really spikes. Governments keep expressing surprise that homes are expensive and that builders are pulling back, while also maintaining some of the highest development charges and fee burdens in North America. Builders have been warning for years that the cost stack is getting out of control. Fees, levies, permitting delays, and regulation don't just add a little. They can represent a massive slice of the final price of a new home. Then, when prices climb, the same politicians ask why. It's hard to take that seriously when the math is sitting in plain sight. The bigger danger is what happens next in the supply pipeline. Sales lead starts. When sales collapse, construction doesn't die instantly. It dies later, when the existing backlog finishes and there's nothing behind it. Industry voices are warning that by 2027 or 2028, the market could face a shortage because today's lack of new starts will mean fewer completions down the road, so the country risks the worst of both worlds. A crash in activity now, and a supply squeeze later. That's how you get whiplash. The market goes from nobody is buying to there's nothing available, and prices can surge again because supply has fallen off a cliff. There's another layer here that people don't want to talk about publicly, but everyone in the industry understands it: product mismatch. A lot of the units sitting are tiny, investor-focused layouts, units that feel hard to live in long term. If your inventory is heavy on cramped studios and micro suites, you can flood the market with supply and still not meet real end-user demand. Families aren't rushing to pay huge monthly carrying costs for something that doesn't work for their life. That mismatch makes the stall even worse, because even when prices soften, buyers look at the product and think, this still doesn't make sense. Meanwhile, leadership talks about long-term strategies while regular Canadians watch their biggest asset lose value. For many people, their home is not an investment portfolio line item. It's their financial foundation. When prices drop sharply, it's not abstract. It's equity evaporating.